week with another episode of Industry Insights. My guest this week is Amelia from Shell. Amelia, hey, how are you doing?
Hey Cameron, yeah, I'm really well. Thanks for having me on today.
This
And
week,
hi to everyone listening in.
yeah, this week more than anything else is a bit of a new one for us. You're actually calling in from site. You're working on site at one of Shell's facilities right now. Where exactly are you calling in from?
Yeah, that's right. So I work for Shell, which is obviously everyone knows is a big oil and gas company. I actually work for a sub company of theirs called QGC. So right now I'm based out in central Queensland. If anyone really knows, it's out towards Roma or Chinchilla. So it's about an hour flight west of Brisbane.
So just out in the sticks, really, just middle of nowhere.
Out in the sticks, like purely out in the bush. It's awesome. It's great.
Okay, cool.
In the scrub.
Can you tell everyone at home a bit more about, was it QBC, a subsidiary of Shell that you're working for?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. It's cool. So QGC is, it was originally called Queensland Gas Company. It was bought out by BG about, I'm not too sure when. And so BG was taken over by Shell in 2016. And so that's how Shell came to acquire QGC. They obviously kept the name Shell QGC just because of the ease of it, I believe. It's purely based out in central Queensland. We extract natural gas from wells right down about between 500 to 1,000 metres below the ground. This is obviously processed here on site and then shipped through pipelines out to Curtis Island, which is up towards Gladstone, where it's converted into liquefied natural gas, or LNG as most people would know it. And then this is shipped off to customers throughout Asian markets.
Right, okay. So is QGC mainly just Australia focused at being a subsidiary of Shell, with Shell obviously being the larger international focus? Or are you guys fully integrated into Shell's kind of network operations?
We fully operate under Shell's procedures and policies. But we're just located here in Queensland.
Very cool. So then how do you fit into the whole picture? What's your role at QGC or at Shell?
Okay, so I'm part of the graduate program. Obviously, everyone probably watching this right now may have studied chemical engineering, being that is this podcast. I also studied chemical engineering at RMIT. So I applied for the grad program with Shell, however long ago, 2018. Was accepted, and I actually got offered into a production operations role. So I started that role as a production engineer, and I was based in Brisbane. So I did about 6 months up there, and it's a bit of like a rotational. Oh, sorry, messaging me.
That's all right.
Bit of a rotational program. So I started in the Brisbane office, and then I've been sent out here to get some field experience, and I'll be out here for about 2 years doing FIFO work. So 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
And so is it 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for everybody? Because I know FIFO, it can change. There's a few different options out there.
Yeah, majority of the crew out here on 2-2. There is a field-based engineering team that do sort of a mix of rosters. I think there's some 9 days on, 5 days off. Some people even still do 5 and 2, and they live locally. But majority, it's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
And how long have QGC and Shell kind of been operating together? Or has QGC been operating for a long time in Australia, and they just naturally got acquired by Shell?
Yeah, QGC's been around for quite a while. I don't know exactly the dates, to be honest. But Shell just sort of acquired it through the BG takeover in 2016. And so they've implemented a lot more of their policies and procedures that I mentioned before.
Yeah, and I imagine those are pretty strict, and they enforce them uniformly across all aspects of their business.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being a big company, there's a lot of legalities, and obviously, putting your name to a new facility or so, you obviously want it to be running to its best abilities and applying all the Shell standards as well.
Definitely. Yeah. So on a regular day-to-day basis, what exactly are your kind of roles and responsibilities? What is a normal day for you like?
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm actually doing at the moment, so with my field work, I'm actually in the position of an operations engineer role. So this is sort of like my third rotation within the grad program. Day to day, so we're up at about 5 o'clock. First
lovely.
meetings at, yep, nice and early. And it's been freezing out here at the moment. I moved to Queensland thinking it'd be beautiful and sunny, but it was about 0 degrees this morning. First meeting we have at 5:45, which we call our toolbox. So we sit in on the toolbox, which is like a talk through of all the job plans for the day, the risks, the hazards involved, and that's held with all the gas plant operators as well as supervisors and leads. So it's kind of getting everyone a bit switched on, you know, talking through what's going to happen, like a bit of a plan for the day, a bit of a wake up, and pulling everyone together to go through all that.
Make sure everyone's around what has to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Safety is always a big thing as well. So we tend to go through a lot of the like learning from incidents as well. So if something might have happened a few months ago, we'll sort of sit and talk about it and make it a bit more of a discussion. It gets everyone sort of switched on for the day, because you find sometimes it's a bit of like routine tasks and people are like, oh, I know what I'm doing. And it gets a bit, risk normalized. So so I remember learning a lot of safety stuff at uni, and you kind of go, oh, boring, but it's drilled into us here.
That first time that you learn it, your eyes kind of glaze over and you're like, oh, really? Do I have to learn this? But then it kind of gets thrown at you.
But it's really imperative. It's really imperative, especially for us out here. Like we're in the front line. You know, we've got our hands on the equipment. We're right next to the pipelines. You know, high pressure. You know, you don't want to be getting your fingers caught. You don't want to be doing anything wrong. And obviously it's bad look for the company as well. So
definitely.
Sorry, what else do I do? Lots more meetings throughout the day. We do a lot of surveillance as well as the operations engineers. So we've got a lot of data that we sort of monitor throughout the day. Obviously looking at any equipment that might be, you know, acting poorly or that we know about that we have to keep continually monitoring. So we're watching that. A lot of firefighting, troubleshooting. So things will happen throughout the day. We'll get calls from maintenance team.
Just like SCADA alarms and kind of job notices and stuff.
Things that just jump out at you, and you suddenly you'll be doing something and it's like, quick, got to act on that quickly. And so that becomes a bit of a focus. Doing a lot of like procedure updates, which sounds a bit boring, but they're obviously very imperative because that's what the frontline workers are using. Management of change, another big thing that we're going through as well. And there's a big, like a lot of procedure behind all that. Obviously tracking new changes throughout the plant as well, and making sure it's all captured.
So it definitely sounds like you've got a busy day on your hands. It's not sort of like laid out maybe, well, in a structured kind of program. It's kind of a lot of things might pop up. You got to kind of respond to it here and there. We'll also have some kind of scheduled maintenance tasks or safety exercises or something kind of planned throughout the week. Obviously you get kind of a wide variety of things thrown at you. How would you say your studies and your times at RMIT kind of prepared you for that? And what kind of skills do you think outside of uni maybe were beneficial to that first year in the role?
I think definitely like you got to be organised, honestly. And be willing to sort of like be resilient, you know, to tackle sort of the troubleshooting and anything that comes at you. Something I'm probably still learning, I believe, like, because you'll be focused on one thing and suddenly you've got to quickly switch up and, you know, act on it pretty quickly. I think as well, like we do a lot of like working with teams and you're collaborating with a lot of different departments as well. So being able to have that interaction, you know, between the maintenance and between operations, and then being able to sort of switch up between like the E&I techs as well. Sorry, electrical and instrumentation technicians. I'll try not talk in acronyms. Oh my god, they're a pain in the ass. I'm sorry. But there's a lot of them. There are many, and I've got a little cheat sheet of acronyms that
I know. I definitely have my own little like set of guidelines written down whenever I get quick hand notes kind of. Refinery process design was obviously like a large focus of our chemical engineering degrees. When you first got onto the job and got out in the field and started working on just like a day-to-day basis after you've done all your inductions and intros, obviously, did you find that it was what you were expecting? Was it very similar to the kind of classroom work that where everybody's used to doing in university, or was it something kind of completely different?
Completely different. Obviously, you've got all your learnings that you take on board when you're at uni. And, you know, a lot of it you kind of sit there and go, how is this ever applied? And yes and no, it is applied, but it's probably applied like further down the line. Like it's not something you necessarily work on. I also am not doing like a chemical engineering or process engineering role as such.
Okay.
Like that becomes a completely other grad program. And having spoken to them, one girl who did study chemical engineering, she's like, yeah, I do use a lot of stuff from uni.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're learning about refrigeration cycles and, you know, we're dealing with compressors and dew points and dew point margins and things like that.
All the fun things, yeah.
All the fun things, yeah. Obviously, lights go down. Gas compressions, obviously our biggest thing here. So, yeah, compressors and pressures and temperatures and things like that, which did learn at uni. But yeah, it's not part of my role necessarily at the moment. It's more the process engineering roles.
Kind of focused.
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the operations engineers sort of cover like the whole operation and more the production side. And yeah, a bit more sort of like on the ground engineering rather than like a discipline engineering.
Yeah. Okay. You're obviously doing FIFO work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks on. How's that experience been for you? Was that a big kind of shock and something you had to kind of get used to over a few cycles, or was it something that you found interesting and kind of adventurous and you kind of got into it quite easily?
To be honest, if I thought back when I was in second and third year at uni, this is not something I thought I would be doing.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely enjoying it. It's so great. And even when I joined the grad program, this was not mentioned as part of my contract initially.
Really?
They said I'd be based in the Brisbane office. And it wasn't until I was about 4 months in that they said, actually, we're going to send you out to get some field experience. And I was like, amazing. I love it. Yeah, so definitely was a bit of a shock, but a good shock. And I think that just shows, you know, you've got to be adaptable to whatever they throw at you. It's invaluable to get field experience. Like it's all good and well you can sit in the office, but I think being able to actually get out, see the facilities, you know, go and play with some valves, see the compressors, talk to the operators. Really. Yeah, you can like talk to the operators who've worked here for a long time. They've got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge to share. FIFO hasn't been too bad for me. I do feel a bit guilty leaving Alex, my partner, back in Brisbane because I moved him up here from Melbourne. But he seems okay. Yeah. We're slowly making some friends and meeting people. I'm sure he's enjoying the weather up there. Yeah, very much enjoying the weather. But yeah, the team out here is absolutely amazing. Like, you know, because you're all living together, you know, so we all hang out and have some drinks after work.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, pre-COVID, there was a lot more like barbecues and, you know, little trivia nights they'd put on, or bingo.
Is it like a self-contained little like refining town up there, like you have in some of those very remote kind of mining operations, or is it kind of based near an already existing town centre and you guys go kind of just live there and then just kind of drive to and from site each day?
No, we're out in a remote location. So the closest town to us is about 45-minute drive.
Okay.
So it's a self-contained camp.
Oh, beauty.
Yeah. So, yeah, like little dongers, as they call them. So here on site, we've got our own little dining room. We've got a gym. We've got a tavern.
Oh, beauty.
Awesome.
Everything
you need. It's like a little canteen. So if you want any little sort of chocolates and snacks, it's always a good little treat. And they're always trying to accommodate, you know, to what people are after and make sure that we're enjoying our time here as well. So it's really not all that bad.
So would you recommend FIFO work to someone who's maybe not considered it before?
Honestly, it's something, like I said before, it's not something I ever considered. And yeah, I think go for it. Like, obviously it's such an amazing experience, I think, and very different. It's not for everyone, I will admit. It is quite tough. You know, you are out here for 2 weeks, they're long days. It's quite exhausting.
Yeah.
But
and I suppose towards the end of that 2 weeks on, after working every single day for 10 or 11 days in a row, you start to get a little bit tired towards the end of it.
Yeah, you do start to get a bit tired. And we've been doing about 12, 13-hour days. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's easy. But the 2 weeks off is definitely a reward that's invaluable. So it's
amazing. Makes up for it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes up for it, especially being in Queensland, you know, straight to the beach. It's great.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
So I mean, the oil and gas industry has seen a bunch of changes recently in terms of technological sense. Have you guys gone through any kind of drastic changes on site, maybe upgrading facilities or incorporating new or recently discovered technologies?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Obviously, there's a massive energy transition sort of happening and will be happening in the near future. Yeah, energy transition is definitely happening, and obviously Shell's, doesn't want to be left behind. So they're always investing in new little greener technologies that obviously they find will be commercially viable for us. You can check out on the website. I think there's heaps of info on there, and as well as LinkedIn. But there's recently there's been an announcement that we're going into hydrogen.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I think over in the Netherlands. For us here locally, we're definitely trying to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So we've got a lot of the process engineers sort of focusing on that. Trying to reduce any sort of methane that may be vented. That's definitely a big focus. As well, the facilities use a lot of power. So we do take power from the grid, but we are also looking to, we're building a solar farm as well, which is actually in process at the moment. So it's going to be massive solar farm because we're out in the beautiful sunshine out in the country.
You might as well use all those resources out there.
We may as well use all the natural resources. So that's going to be a really big power saving, obviously, for us as well, and a really big sort of push towards green energy throughout the facility.
So would you kind of say that kind of push towards green energy and changing away from maybe natural gas towards hydrogen or some other kind of renewable, would you say that's kind of the largest challenge that you guys are kind of facing moving forward?
Yeah, yes and no. I think, obviously there's a push to move away from sort of crude oil and oil in general. Natural gas, I think, is still pretty good, pretty green energy, or not green, but cleaner energy.
By comparison,
by comparison, definitely. But I mean, as I said, I don't think Shell's been around for a very long time, and they don't want to be left behind. They're not going to be going anywhere, and they understand there's obviously still going to always be a high demand for energy. But we need to obviously adapt with the changes that come.
Apart from that, have you guys been impacted much at all or significantly by this whole COVID-19 pandemic that's hit the world? I mean, you guys are based in a remote area of was it southeast or northeast Queensland, you said. Would maybe just logistics of kind of getting your product out to consumers be the biggest challenge you're facing, or has there been any other kind of problems that have been happening for you guys?
Yeah, I think obviously the biggest one would probably be the oil crash, the oil price crash.
Oh, right, of course, with Saudi Aramco and Russia having that bidding war.
Yeah, that was all sort of hidden underneath the COVID stuff. So that's had a big impact to the company. I think as well, based on where we are on our location, trying to get things to site has been a little bit difficult. I know we've got products that we obviously ship in from overseas, and there's been a few logistic issues as well. Things just taking a little bit longer. I think as well, obviously they put a lot of restrictions in around the camp as well, because we are still all living together.
I suppose with the FIFO
it's a lot of people. A lot of people sort of in one area. So we also had to abide, our gym's closed at the moment. The taverns only for takeaways. So we still, as much as we have all these luxuries, we still have to obviously abide by the government rules. So little things like that do impact us. That part of the world
the
to
daily
say.
challenge that everyone's kind of facing at the moment.
Exactly.
But I mean, let's talk a bit about how you actually found yourself working for Shell. How did you actually fall into that role? You said you applied for a grad program. Was it just kind of a submitted application, get an interview, or kind of take us through how you kind of got the job?
Okay. So back in, start of third year when all the grad programs were starting to open, I obviously started firing out as many resumes and cover letters and applying for as many roles as I could. The grad program structure was quite like any of the other bigger companies. So I think it was cover letter, resume submission, online pre-recorded video interview.
Those always
I think there may have been one. Yeah, horrible, but get used to them. I think they're obviously going to be around for a while. And practice is the big thing, obviously, like sitting and doing this in front of your computer and talking to yourself.
You might sound a little bit crazy, but it really does make the actual event go a whole lot smoother.
Yeah, it does. I think there was also an online assessment in there as well.
Yeah.
And then the second round was another video interview and a case study that I got sent a couple of days prior.
Okay.
So I had to just study the case study. I think it was about 25 pages long or so. And then on the day, it was a Skype call quite like this. And yeah, I got told what I had to present. I had about 5-10 minutes to devise what I was going to present, and then had to make a 10-15 minute presentation. Can't remember exactly the time frames. So it's pretty much on the spot.
So it sounds like a very rigorous kind of application process.
Yeah, it definitely was. And then straight after that followed a lot of behavioural style interview questions.
Yeah.
Which are always good fun to answer. But yeah, definitely have some examples up your sleeve and be practicing those. I think is probably the best advice I could give to future students.
And then so you entered into a grad program, was it? Can you tell us a little bit about the grad program, maybe just like what's involved, how long it lasts for?
Yeah, sure. So the grad program is 2.5 years.
Okay.
Obviously, Shell is operated out of Queensland as well as Perth. Perth is our main hub for Shell Australia.
Okay.
So 2.5 year program. Obviously, there's a lot of different disciplines you can apply to, depending on what you've studied. So I did originally apply for the process engineering role, but was notified that it was already filled. And so they actually offered me a role as an environmental engineer. And I was like, yeah, amazing. I'm not going to turn Shell down. Okay. And then following some chats with the HR manager, she suddenly was like, actually, I also have this production engineering role if you're interested. And I was like, yeah. That
probably sounds a bit more your speed type thing rather than going to something.
Yeah, a bit more well, not exciting. Like, I think the environmental role still would have been amazing. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll give that one a go. So yeah, jumped straight into it. As like I said, did 6 months in Brisbane, then got rotated out here to the field. And I'll continue doing a few other rotations through different disciplines out here in the field. So like I said, I'm doing operations engineering now, but I will be joining like the maintenance team and a few other going out with the operators and getting a lot more hands-on experience.
That rotation experience, do you think it's kind of been beneficial to you, or would you kind of just like prefer to stay in that one role that you like and just kind of stay there without moving?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, I mean, they're not defined sort of like timelines of rotation. It's not like you will do 6 months here and then move. I've been lucky. I've sort of been able to like time it myself and be like, okay, along talking with my line manager and saying, yeah, I think it's time to sort of like transition into a new area. But yeah, I think it's really beneficial. It also gives you a taste of like all the different departments you could be working in. Because once you finish the grad program, you sort of roll into a position.
Yeah.
And obviously I still have to interview and apply for that. But you do get help from your line manager sort of pushing you into that new role and making sure you've got the competencies that you've ticked off throughout the grad program.
Yeah.
Something from uni, I thought I was finished with assignments, but I still have 8 assignments to complete as part of my grad program. And I will admit I've been quite slack trying to get those done.
But reviews of like incidents or something, or is it just that those general kind of what have you learned?
A bit
from
of everything.
Like what's going on?
Yeah, it's a lot of like, go out and do this, and then think how we can possibly improve it, or read all these documents and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, it's strange to hear. Like I've never heard of that actually happening in any other grad program. So it's
so the Shell program's really quite structured in that way, and that's the same across a lot of the other disciplines as well.
Yeah. Okay. So have you kind of got any kind of career aspirations throughout Shell? Do you kind of have a path that you see yourself following, or do you think you'll kind of radically shift? Like, again, you've already said that you originally were slated to be an environmental engineer there, but have kind of moved into a production engineer role. Well, where do you kind of see your career moving from here?
Yeah, good question. So currently I'm in the upstream side of obviously the grad program. I wouldn't mind possibly moving into midstream, which is more the LNG side of things. So that'd be based up in Gladstone. So there's a lot more processes going on there, and obviously, we're sort of like the front end of the chain, and then that's a bit the mid part.
Yeah.
So that'd be quite interesting to see. Obviously, I think as well, moving up sort of, back into the Brisbane office, possibly going up through some leadership levels. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think what the experience I'm getting now will obviously be massively beneficial to that step up later on.
It's a great experience to get your hands on and really kind of understand
how
a process works.
And it just means when you get back to the office, you can actually visualize what you're talking about rather than just looking at a P&ID or reading about it. So you can actually sit there and picture.
I did that the opposite way around the first time. I was working on a couple processes, and I'd only exclusively seen the P&IDs, and then I had to suddenly start matching some parts to some site photos and whatnot. And of course, having never seen the site before, I'm looking at these sheets. I'm going, what am I looking at here right now? Like, none of this looks familiar. And you start trying to trace lines on it, and it just doesn't make any sense at all until you kind of see the big picture up close, and you kind of understand where everything fits and why it's placed the way it is. It makes life so much easier.
Yeah, definitely. That's completely true.
So what advice would you give to current students, or maybe even yourself, like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, who are kind of looking to get into that kind of oil or gas refining industry?
Yeah, another good question. I think, take on board what you learn at uni. Try and branch out, talk to people, even contact people on LinkedIn. I know it seems a bit weird and a bit daunting at the time, but I've had a couple of people just message me out of the blue being like, hey, I've seen you're in the grad program. I'm applying. Can you give me some help? And
really?
Don't know who they are, and I'll just be like, yeah, sure, cool. Just give you a few little tips here along the way. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit that's probably something I wish I did a bit more of, but I can imagine, as a student, you kind of I don't want to branch out and get the help.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised. A lot of people are really willing to, help others. I think as well, talk to the lecturers. They might know someone. They might be able to give you some other sort of contacts. If you've got someone in the family, amazing. I didn't have that at all. I've got no engineers in my family. So that was always good fun going out by myself.
Reaching out as much as possible and trying to make those first connections until you can kind of find someone to guide you into that first role, you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, as much as they say find a mentor, but if you're not up to finding a mentor that you're going to contact, every so often, maybe just messaging someone out of the blue on Skype on LinkedIn, without being too pestery. And obviously don't be offended if they don't write back, because
that seems to be
part of the trait, unfortunately. I think just watching things like this, like what we're doing right now, I think unfortunately with COVID it's a bit hard to get to industry events, but I got so much benefit out of attending those. I think they were really invaluable, just going and talking to people, and
definitely,
because you kind of you come out of uni thinking I'm just going to go into a chemical engineering role and that's all I know, but there's actually heaps of other there's actually heaps of other positions that you can go into with that degree. I know you had Alex on before, and he wasn't necessarily doing a chem eng role at all. So I mean, it's still obviously applied knowledge that you have from your degree, but it's not you have to be a process engineer. And I think I even got caught up on that because I was I'm only going to apply for process engineering roles because I have no idea what else there is.
If you go into that mindset, it really narrows down your options, and you kind of are very restricted in what you can do. And then often those strict process design and process kind of construction or development roles, they only take the absolute best, and there's rigorous metrics testing, or they might not even take graduates on. It's a job for someone who's already got 5, 10 15 years of experience that they're after, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I think as well, like, branch out, just like, you know, try and find the smaller companies. Don't just go for the big names. Saying that, I'm working for a big company, but yeah, you need to, you know, keep your options open. And I never thought I would also be in oil and gas originally, so I sort of tried to keep it quite broad where I applied for.
Okay.
So yeah, and it just happened to be that oil and gas was where I landed.
Okay. And so for anyone who kind of wants to follow your role and kind of get into working with Shell or QGC, how can they apply for a position in the grad program or for just a normal position with you guys?
Yeah, so I think obviously the applications for this year are shut, unfortunately. But for next year, it's all listed on the website. I think as well it should be on probably the, I can't remember what they're called now, the student portals that list all the other grad programs that are open. Yeah, so it was like a direct application through the website. I'm pretty sure there's a career portal on there. That's the way to go.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have heard of other people who've studied a degree before and possibly been a little bit unlucky coming in through a grad program, and they may come through like a contracting company as well. And you may possibly start as like an operator, so you're a bit more hands-on. You can kind of push your way up into the line. I've definitely heard of a couple of other engineers who've done that. Obviously, because we all know grad programs, you know, they don't take many people and they're quite hard and, you know, quite challenging to get into. So yeah, thinking of other means of ways to get in is probably the way to go as well. Cool.
I think that's just about all the time we've got for today. Amelia, it's been great chatting with you and learning about your experiences working for Shell and QGC. Thanks again for joining us, guys at home. If you've got any questions that you want to ask in upcoming episodes, again, comment down below, send us an inbox message. Be sure to like and comment on and share around the video to all your mates, and we'll see you guys again next week. But bye for now.
Cool, thanks. Bye. Feel free to reach out as well if you need.